Okay, get this, an 80-day marriage that explodes into a 7-year legal war. Yeah, you heard that right. It spans 2 continents. We're talking about a story where a relationship broke down so badly, it created this bizarre legal paradox that literally only the highest court in the country could figure out how to solve.
So think about this for a second. How can you be ordered to return to a country that you are legally forbidden from entering? I mean, it sounds like a riddle, right? Some kind of impossible catch-22. Well, it's not a riddle. This is exactly what happened to someone.
So let me introduce you to Vishal Shah. He's an Indian software engineer working over in the US, and he finds himself in this completely impossible situation. A court back home in India tells him, hey, you have to come back and face charges. But at the exact same time, the Indian government takes away his passport, so he literally can't travel. He's trapped.
Now, this was not your average legal squabble. This was a mess. The whole thing was this tangled knot of conflicting orders and accusations. It got so bad that it actually took the Supreme Court of India to step in, and they had to use this special, extraordinary power they have to finally cut through all the noise and deliver what they call complete justice.
Okay, so to really get how things got this complicated, we gotta rewind. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Back to a marriage that, well, fell apart faster and more spectacularly than you can probably imagine. Just look at this timeline. It's shockingly short. They get married in India in February 2018. The very next month, March, they move to the US together. But by May, that's it. After just 80 days, the marriage is pretty much over. They're separated, and not just by a room, but by an entire ocean. And you know, those 80 days, they were anything but peaceful. When you look at the court documents, they paint this picture of total chaos. There were allegations of abuse flying from both sides. The police were called to their home multiple times. And it gets even more intense. The Shah's wife, Mona Lisa, was actually charged with second-degree assault in the US. I mean, we're talking about a complete and total breakdown of a relationship. So, after they separated, you'd probably expect, some divorce papers to be filed. But what happened here was something else entirely. This wasn't just a divorce. It became a full-blown legal war. Their personal fight just exploded into this avalanche of lawsuits in courts all over the place.
80. Just 80 days. I want you to just keep that number in your head, because that short amount of time is the entire foundation for the absolute monster of a legal battle that was about to kick off.
Right. So from that 80-day relationship, guess what we get? This. More than 15 lawsuits. And these weren't just between the husband and wife. Oh no, they pulled in their parents, their siblings. The whole thing became a massive family feud played out in the courts.
And the things they were accusing each other of, it was a wild list. You had everything from dowry harassment, which is a really serious charge in India, to domestic violence, theft, and assault. But it didn't stop there. There were also civil suits for defamation, money disputes, even an eviction lawsuit filed against the wife while she was staying with her mother-in-law. Just, wow. And right here, this is the moment the trap is sprung. Because of all these cases piling up against him, the Indian authorities went ahead and impounded Vishal's passport. So now he's stuck. He's in the US, but he's legally forbidden from traveling back to India. This one move is what creates the entire paradox we've been talking about. Okay, so you've got lawsuits flying everywhere, and Vishal can't even travel. That's when a lower court makes a decision that takes this whole situation from just complicated to completely absurd. And that's what finally forces the Supreme Court to step in.
So a judge in India sees that Vishal isn't showing up for his court dates, and because of that, this judge orders the government to start the process of extraditing him from the US. Think about that. He was basically declared a fugitive for not showing up to a court that he was legally blocked from traveling to.
And there it is, the legal trap, right out in the open. You have one part of the justice system, the courts, saying you must return. And then you have another part, the passport office, saying you cannot return. He was literally facing punishment for not being able to do something that was physically and legally impossible. This is where something really unique about the Indian Constitution comes into play. It's a provision called Article 142. And what it is, it's this kind of superpower for the Supreme Court. It's an extraordinary tool that lets them cut through all the red tape, bypass all these weird legal knots and contradictions. Basically, it lets them do whatever is necessary to achieve complete justice when the regular system has just completely failed.
So armed with this incredible power, how did the Supreme Court fix this? Well, they didn't just look at that one extradition order. Nope. They looked at the entire 7-year mess and decided, you know what? We're wiping the slate clean for everyone involved.
And the court did not mince words. Their judgment was blunt. They called this a classic case of irretrievable breakdown of marriage. Basically, it was shattered beyond any hope of repair. They saw all these lawsuits for what they were, not a search for justice, but weapons being used in a toxic war that just needed to end for everyone's sake.
So their solution was pretty brilliant, and it was comprehensive. Using that special power, Article 142, the court just dissolved the marriage then and there. They ordered Vishal to pay a one-time alimony of 25 lakh rupees, which is about 30,000 US dollars. And in exchange for that, all of those 15-plus cases, both civil and criminal, from both sides, they were all quashed. That means just gone, canceled, thrown out for good.
And that crazy extradition order, the Supreme Court just struck it down. They called it untenable and unsustainable. Basically, they officially acknowledged how absurd it was to order someone to do something that the government itself was preventing them from doing.
Okay, so this is a really dramatic story about one couple, but why should the rest of us care? Well, it really matters because the court's final decision sets some really important precedents for how the law deals with these kinds of messy, deeply personal fights.
So here are the big takeaways. First, it shows the court can and will step in to end toxic lawsuits by just dissolving a marriage that is clearly beyond saving. Second, and this is huge, it sets a clear rule. You cannot be legally punished for failing to do something that's impossible. And third, the court came down hard on the whole passport issue, calling it straight up illegal and a violation of a basic human right to travel.
You know, when you boil it all down, this whole case makes you ask a really big question. The legal system is supposed to solve problems, right? It's there to resolve conflict. But at what point does the legal battle itself, the years of fighting, the endless lawsuits, the crazy orders, at what point does that become even more destructive than the original problem? Well, in the case of this 80-day marriage, India's Supreme Court decided that point had been passed a long, long time ago.